Hey there, good morning. Welcome back to my garden. Today is a day of maintenance. I have a lot of cleanup that I need to do. It's just crazy how quickly it goes from, watching your gardens just kind of wake up and start doing their thing, and then all of a sudden it's like, wow, I really need to clean out these areas. Things are getting overgrown, things are kind of taking over paths. They're falling onto other things, but then also some things are just done blooming and done with their cycle and ready to be cut back. So I've been noticing that there's been a lot of work that I need to be getting done. We have a couple events coming up here at our house, and so I really wanted to get this back area, especially cleaned up, that's near our back patio, and then also cutting back a lot of my columbine that's now done blooming. The leaves will probably get powdery mildew and start looking kind of cruddy now that they're done blooming. It just, for some reason, that's just what happens here in Western Oregon, or in my garden at least. So I want to get all of that cut back, really nicely cleaned up. I have some blowing to do, blowing off of the patio and things like that. So that's just what we're going to do this morning. And I hope it's inspiring to you guys to get out and do the same type of work in your gardens, especially early morning when it's nice and cool, pleasant to be out here. It's actually so cold here that I had to go back in and get my flannel on because I think it's maybe mid 50s right now. So anyway, it's a good morning for me to get out here and get this job done. So let me just turn you around really quick and kind of show you where I'm going to be starting out. And then we're just going to kind of plow through and get as much done as we can. I have another project that I kind of wanted to get working on also this morning. Well, I have the place basically to myself. My boys are up at my parents' house helping them with some chores and stuff like that. So I just have this time to focus on getting the garden cleaned up, get as much work done as I can pretty quickly, and then move on to something else that's a little bit more fun. Okay, so the bulk of the work that we're going to be doing is along this path, like I said, towards our back patio. I'm going to be just clearing off this path, kind of trimming back the hydrangea that's here, making this path a little bit more accessible for when we have company guests coming to use this back area. Same kind of thing with this path. I just want to clean it up a little bit, cut back some of these perennials that are just getting a little overgrown. And I'll also just be kind of, blowing off the back patio, obviously putting the barbecue away. And then I have some work to do in this little bed right here as well. The Brunnera needs to be cut back. I have some hellebores that need to be cleaned up. I'm also going to be, I think, taking out a little bit of the vines here of this clematis that's growing up through the shrubbery. And I don't think I'll be messing too much up there, but I just kind of want to limit up, get it off of the bulk of it that's down low that might be weighing down some of these shrubs. I think that's pretty much it for back here. And then we'll be going up into the front to take care of some columbine. So I'm just going to walk you guys up there really quick and show you the area. And then we'll just get the camera set up and we'll get working. Okay, so right here is just a little small stand of columbine, but this is a good example of what the foliage starts to look like. You can see there's powdery mildew coming onto the stalks of the plant. So I'm just going to be basically cutting these all the way back to the ground. And kind of the bulk of the columbine that I have is up in this front garden. This will be also taken all the way back. I have some annuals planted in here that will appreciate more space and more light, and so those can start to fill in. So I'll be taking these ones all the way down, as well as most of these. I come down this path, you can see it just really gets overgrown with things, but I'll be coming into this area. I've already cut back a few of them, but all of these right in here, and then these ones down here along the way. I may collect some of the seed heads just so that I can scatter seeds in case I don't think any of them have opened up and started to do it on their own. So I might just save some of the seed heads so that I can spread them around if I decide I want them elsewhere. But you can just see the foliage just starts to look kind of cruddy down there, down low. And so I'll just cut all of these back. And then chances are they'll flush back with some foliage this year. They won't bloom again, but it'll just get this area nice and cleaned up, so we can see a little bit more clearly the beautiful rose that's here. Because down from this angle, it looks pretty messy. It looks pretty full, pretty overgrown, pretty messy. So I'll be cutting those back, and then in short order, it'll be time to be cutting all of the foxglove back. But for right now, those are still looking beautiful. So those will obviously stay, but the columbine needs some attention. And then as I'm moving around the garden, inevitably there's going to be other things that need to be done, but those are the main things that I want to focus on, and hopefully not get distracted by too many other things, starting to weed and stuff like that. There's always weeding that can be done, but for the most part, I really just want to tackle these things that are overgrown and kind of mostly impeding on pathways and stuff like that. So we're going to head back into the backyard again, and we're just going to get after it. And one other thing that I really probably should get after is doing some deadheading on these roses. My rose up there on the top, these ones down here don't really need to be deadheaded in order to continue to bloom, but I think it would look pretty. It would look a lot better just to get stuff like that off of there. So that's also probably something that we're going to do as we work our way around and get to the columbine. This is probably where we will end up. All right, just a quick update before I go and dump my first load of debris. So I ended right here, cutting back the hardy geranium pretty hard. I was kind of trying to see how much I could leave and, have it try to look pretty. But this is what I ended up with. I left a few leaves just thinking that I don't know, maybe it'll fill back in with just foliage and be a little bit lower down, but I just really didn't want it to be overtaking these supertunias that are in this container that are trying to grow. So it did also expose the hosta that's in this container, which I just really love this one. It's really interesting though to see, like, this is the stuff that was really blocked by the sun, or blocked from the sun by the hardy geranium, and then the blue over here is what gets more of the light. So it's interesting to see the variation in color in there. But anyway, also cut back all of this hardy geranium. I know it looks pretty junky. I don't know. I really probably should just take these guys out and just try to maintain this little border as just bark dust. But something I do every year. I think about it every year, but I end up just usually cutting it back, enjoying it for a little bit while it's coming up and blooming, and then I just cut it back. So then you can see over here why it's hard for me to plant anything through here. For some reason, this is an area where the dogs like to go into. So anyway, also just cut back a little bit of the dogwood, just kind of trying to not have it be touching the house and also blocking these windows too much. The hydrangea, I was kind of selectively trying to just take out ones that were, well, first of all, that were blocking, coming out onto the path, but then also that didn't have buds on them. Because if you look in them, you can see the buds. Some are more, exposed than others, but there's also some, like this one, well, it's just a stink bug in there, or a spit bug in there, but that one doesn't have a bloom on it. This one doesn't either. So I just was kind of trying to take off ones that weren't going to have blooms, but then also taking out some that that were really coming in too close to the window and kind of blocking the window. So I've said it before, this guy is way too big for this spot, but yet another plant that I haven't moved or done away with. So anyway, and then over here, really just cleared up this area, exposed the stairs so it's not as much of a tripping hazard if anybody should want to walk up this direction. Took out a done columbine, cutting back a little bit of the lady's mantle that was coming into the pathway. That's still looking pretty though, but eventually this all will be totally cut back. So a lot more open through here, and I'm gonna go dump my load and then we'll get going on the other side over there. we're all done with this space and it looks and feels so much better to me. I just can never underestimate how good it's going to feel and how much better it's going to look when I start to prune back things that are spent or, you know, a little bit shriveled, or, you know, just kind of overtaking an area. So the main thing for me was pruning back the Brunnera after it sends out the leaf, the small leaves with the beautiful little blue flowers on it. I like to prune those back so that you can obviously see the beautiful bright silvery foliage. So I did also, as you saw, I put down some Sluggo-Plus because these inevitably will get attacked in my garden anyway by earwigs. So preventatively, I put down some Sluggo-Plus that will, you know, doesn't only, the plus variety doesn't only battle against slugs and snails, it also does battle against the earwigs and some other insects as well. So I also took up a little branch off of the dogwood, just cleaned up some hellebores that were through here, cleaned up this heucherella, and cleaned up a little bit along the edge here. Took up just some branches off of the hydrangea that were a little bit low and just kind of cleaned up this area. There was some damaged leaves inside this hellebore because I had, I guess there's a hellebore aphid that just is attracted to hellebores, and this guy right here had it pretty bad. So there were some pretty yellow leaves, damaged leaves and stuff down there that I took out. I also took off just a few branches from this clematis, you know, just ones that were kind of coming out into the area right out in here in front. I didn't really take off any that go up high. I did clip a couple, of course, and those may have attached up to those ones up there. So I'll have to watch, I guess, for dead branches up there. But that felt better just to kind of get it off of the lower growing plants at least. So I also did take up this spirea just a little bit because I was noticing that this candy tuft was pushing out such beautiful new growth, but underneath where the spirea was laying on it, it obviously was having a problem doing that. So clipped those up, and this one is totally fine to do that too. Actually, once all of these are totally done and faded, I'll prune this guy back pretty hard, and it'll very likely flush back and have another bloom. These ones by Proven Winners, this is one of the double play series. These are reblooming spirea, so that's kind of their claim to fame. Also the beautiful leaves that they put on when they have new growth, and just the really strong first bloom that they have. So over here, and again, also with this spirea, I took it up a little bit off the path. I do love the look, you know, like I was saying before, of plants that, you know, billow out onto pathways and stuff. But when they start to impede on people getting around, when the dogs are constantly bumping into them and making them flop, that for me is the time to trim those back. So around this side, I just took up a little bit of, well, now that the sun is a little bit higher, I see some more vines that I could take up off of this clematis. This is the Montana clematis, and it's going all the way up into the top of this privet here. So I took up a couple branches of the privet also that were starting to get a little bit low. I see some more back there behind the euonymus that I could also take up. Interesting what I see once the light changes. The light was kind of low, so it was a little bit harder for me to see, but time for that. There's still time for that. So then through here, I clipped up some mountain bluette and also spread some more Sluggo-Plus underneath these leaves of this hosta. You can definitely see that's definitely from the earwigs. You can see how jagged it is on the edges. So I don't know, just to prevent them from doing too much more damage on those, I decided to put down some Sluggo-Plus under this one too. This is how damaged that one is, as well as this guy here. So they all have a little barrier of the Sluggo-Plus underneath them to help them not get hopefully more damaged from the earwigs. I also took up a couple branches through here of the barberry and also the privet so that I can get back there and water the anise shrubs that I have back there. They were really struggling. I hadn't watered them at all this year, and once this tree leaves out, they get literally no rain. So I had to climb back there to water them, and it was much easier to get back there once I got rid of some of those lower limbs. Okay, so done with this area, and I'm gonna go dump my second load of debris, and then we'll go up front and tackle the columbine, and then we'll be done with this project for the day. All right, this space is all cleaned up from the columbine. Looks a little bit bare, and especially for those poor little annuals that are on the ground there that are just mostly green because they just were not getting enough light. I did give those a little bit of a prune too, these ones right here, so that they'll probably, that'll help them flush back, and it'll take a minute, but I'm pretty sure, I have confidence that they'll look similar to the ones there to the left of them. So, but it does look a lot neater having the columbine out since they are done. It kind of gives view to the stuff that is behind that, and just cleans up the area a lot. Those were going to start looking pretty bad pretty quickly. So now the area is all cleaned up, and I also did prune back a little bit of the snow in summer over there. It was getting, that's this white flower over here, that was getting a little bit browned out on the bottom. So pruned that back, and now this area right here, I might try to find another one of these mini Vista Indigo to go right into that spot. See if we can find another annual to stick in there, and then also maybe one even back here. I think that would fill in that spot pretty well. Hesitant to plant annuals now at this time just because I know I would have to really pay attention to watering them. These ones are all pretty rooted in by this point, so they have not been watered or given much attention at all. So they're all doing well, and those few will be doing a lot better now that the columbine is out of the way. So coming down these steps here, you can see all cleared out of the columbine along the pathway. This is going to be kind of an experiment, just to leave these ones here, cut back the stalks, but we'll see what they do. We'll see if they still get powdery mildew, if they start looking cruddy, I'll just come in and cut those all the way back. But now we can see the yarrow. This is the Firefly Peach Sky yarrow that'll start it'll start blooming here pretty soon. You can see a little bit of color on that one, and it also exposes the rose a lot better, having those ones gone, and makes it easier to come down the path too. So obviously kept these ones over here. And see a sad hydrangea there. See, this is what happens when I get plants that are just growing up over everything else. I kind of forget what's back there. Need to definitely come in and water that guy so that it can hopefully rebound and bloom well coming later in this summer. So over here, also deadheaded this rose and cut back some mountain bluette and just did a little bit of cleanup back there behind the spirea. Not too much over here, but this I did think was interesting. This is the Purple Haze, lo and behold, Purple Haze by Proven Winners. And I noticed this chunk over here, and once I cut back the mountain bluette, I tried to kind of pull this one forward, but it rooted in right back there, and it's created its own brand new plant. So that's pretty fun. So there will be two of the Purple Haze right here in this spot, and hopefully it'll kind of cascade down and fill in that spot where the mountain bluette was. We also did prune deadhead a little bit on this rose. There wasn't really too much to do on that one. Oh, I see a weed right up there that I have to come up and get. Nice. All right, we'll walk kind of precariously through the garden here. Come up here on the front lawn. I don't even think I have to go empty out my cart because I have this little kangaroo pop-up bag that's still open. So I'm going to start here with I have one of the At Last roses here that really needs to be deadheaded. It pretty much went through its first flush. There's a couple buds on there I see, but not much. So I think I should probably fertilize that one. It's looking a little bit sad, so I might do that as well. And then we'll go over and prune, deadhead those roses at the end. Okay, I'm going to fertilize the roses really quick. This is the Heirloom Roses fish fertilizer. It's just 4 ounces of this per gallon of water. This is a 3-gallon watering can. So I'm going to put in, you're only supposed to give each plant 1 to 2 quarts of this solution in order to fertilize them. So 4 quarts in a gallon. So with 1 gallon, I can do all 4 roses right here. So I think that's just what I'll mix up right now. And then, well, maybe actually I'll do 8, and then I'll be able to give some to the other ones as well. So it's just going to be kind of an eyeballing of 8 ounces. right, we got the roses pruned. They look a lot better. And in case you guys didn't see, probably wasn't too obvious, I was mostly just going down, doing clusters. Like once an entire cluster was done blooming, I would prune that off. I wasn't doing too many individual flowers, just to make it a little bit easier. So I would just go down to a healthy set of leaves like this, and then cut right above the direction that I want the new, the new start to come off, because it'll come out of right here, and I wanted this one, to come this way rather than growing in towards the plant. So that's kind of the method that I use for pruning these landscape roses, and similarly to the beautiful rose up there on top. I just kind of take it down to that most healthy looking set of leaves, usually have 5 or more, that are pointing in the direction that I want the next stem to come off and go. So got this one a bit cleaned up. There's some flowers on there that are still yet to that are going to finish up and make a mess all over the ground, but that's okay. Another thing that I try to do when I'm pruning my roses is to make sure that I'm trying to get as many of the petals off of the leaves as I can, so that moisture is not being held onto the leaves. I don't know if that's a big deal, but it feels like it's important to me. And then I also did wipe down my pruners in between each plant. I just had these little first aid antiseptic wipes that I have in a first aid kit in my car that I use for that, and that helps to not transport disease from plant to plant. So then I also did quickly come over here and prune on these hardy geraniums. I just clipped them back a little bit from the plants that are around them, because they do grow rather aggressively, and I didn't want them to be totally shrouding the shrubs that are behind them. So got those pruned back, and then also as I was filling up my rose fertilizer, I did also get out one more columbine that was right there, and that's nice for this space. It'll fill in and be a lot happier with that guy gone. Oh, and also coming back this way, one other thing is I did prune back the snow and summer a little bit, just kind of sheared it down, mostly just to the spent blooms, taking those down, but also taking the whole plant just down a little bit so it didn't get too leggy as it was coming up, which was really good, because I forgot that I had a heuchera down here that was trying really hard. To survive underneath there. So I was able to uncover that guy, and that's one of the benefits of making sure we're paying attention to pruning back our plants, because they sometimes might actually be covering up something that's trying really hard to survive. All right, you guys, that's going to do it for me for this project. All of this maintenance feels so good to get done, and it just reminds me of, purging in the house, of decluttering and giving yourself some space and the plant some space. It just really feels good to get it done. So this is probably going to have to start to be like a weekly event for me, I guess, starting now for a little while, until things really heat up and kind of slow down, because I don't water abundantly. So once the heat starts to really come on, and I'm not watering a ton, plants aren't like really becoming very prolific, I guess. So, but right now things are growing a lot and needing to be trimmed. Pretty soon it'll be the foxglove, then it'll be the rose campion that all needs to be cut back. There's a ton of that. The spireas will need to be sheared, all that stuff. So it's definitely maintenance time as of right now. So this felt really good to get done. It only took me a couple hours, so really wasn't that bad. And I think each space looks a lot better for the effort that we put out. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it is helpful to you, to encourage you to get out and do the same in your garden. And I just thank you for hanging out with me while I did it, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.